in putting together this project, it became apparent that we had to explore relationships that African American men have. And one of the relationships that I researched, again, trying to see what other venues it's been explored in, was an uncle and a nephew. Very seldom, are these people spoken to about their relationships. And the most prominent uncle and nephew relationship over the last few years, or over the years, was Uncle Phil and the Fresh Prince. It was a comedy. And they played off of each other just as that. But what we're trying to do today, and with this project, is to talk about the serious side of relationships. The relationships that don't get talked about. How an uncle can influence or mentor a nephew. And how a nephew can feel comfortable enough to go to an uncle or groups of uncles in our families. And so in this discussion, we're going to talk about all of that and how important it is foundationally, how important it is to the community. A lot of times, young men, young African American men will see older men and say, "Hi, Unc." You know, it's very common, "Hi, Unc." They refer to a lot of older men as Unc or Uncle. And again, that's a whole nother level in our community that's never been explored, and as far as my research shows, and bears some speaking to. So in this interview, I'm interviewing William Brock and his nephew, Msontai Brock. And I want them to start talking about their foundation. Msontai is a Marine veteran, served in Desert Storm. And William Brock is a veteran, a Marine veteran as well. So William, why don't you start talking about the foundation of you and Msontai?
Well, the foundation starts with our lineage, actually. I can speak directly, particularly of my father. His name was William Brock. Very disciplined. Okay, he was also a veteran as well. He was a brother that believed in family. He believed in family. He made sure that our family stood on a foundation that can continue on for generations. Okay. And that started out with first with a spiritual foundation. He made sure that we had some type of spiritual foundation, not a religious foundation, but a spiritual foundation, because he had enough wisdom to know that one day we're going to have to call on God.
Yes.
Okay, that we're going to have to call on God. So with that being that foundation, and having to always look to my father, and I didn't always agree with my father. Actually, I didn't agree with my father. I used to resent my father,
Yes.
everything, because he was so disciplined. And to the point that I thought my father was always wrong. Always wrong. You know, daddy's wrong. Particularly when it came down to my mom, daddy's wrong. But I didn't know that until I started having some grown man experiences that I know that daddy wasn't wrong.
Okay.
He lived on certain principles that has allowed me to continue to stand even in the midst of darkness. He told me you can make a life for yourself anywhere. I live by his words every day. I live by my mother's words every day. They were a team and an establishment so that we could be able to grow. They believed in education. We didn't get toys. We got encyclopedias, rector sets, microscopes, chemistry sets. You know, we got all kind of little things. That was educational.
Right.
Everything had to be educational, and that's just pretty much the foundation of my family, a moral standard, a standard of family. One thing my father said to me is, take care of 940 Burton Avenue, which is the family home. And then he said, take care of your mother and each other. I always wondered why he said it in that sequence. And what I come to find out that he was correct. The first thing was, make sure that the house stands. That my mother was not to go to no nursing homes, that she's to die in her own home. So I understood, take care of 940 Burton Avenue, take care of your mother, and take care of each other.
Right.
That's our job. That's what we do. We take care of each other. We call each other.
Yes.
We show concern. We show love. We're not always in agreement, but family is first and foundational.
When I interviewed you before, your father, I remember, and it was really, it made me laugh, but I got it. When he said, no matter where I am, how did that statement, that saying go?
Okay. All right. Okay. My father was talking to me and my brother. And my mother was there. And he looked at me and my brother. He said, and I'm going to have to sanitize what I'm going to say. He says that y'all don't own nothing in here. Your names ain't on nothing but the birth certificate. And he looked at us long. And then he says, my name is on your birth certificates. Matter of fact, I even own the breath you breathe. And when he said that, he looked at me and my brother and looked over at my mama too. It scared me.
Really? Okay.
Because it was the tone that he utilized and what he said. He said, I don't care if I'm in Timbuktu or how long I'm gone. I run this. I run this. Y'all mine. To this day, I stand on that too. Because there's only one king in the kingdom. I don't share my throne. Period.
Got it. Got it.
That comes from my father. Outside influences that misdirects families, we don't do that. We stand on a foundation that's straight and firm.
Great.
That's it.
So, Msontai, in the family you have how many uncles? How many uncles do you have?
I have 4 uncles. My Uncle Carl, my Uncle Billy, my Uncle Durrell, and Uncle Dwayne.
So you were raised with 4 uncles.
Yes.
What did having an uncle mean to you?
Well,
Or uncles?
now, I appreciate it more because I'm older.
Yes.
But, at the time, it was a given. I had my uncles, my aunts. I love my uncles. And they were all different,
Oh, I want to talk about that.
But even though they were in the same household,
Yes.
it was different aspects of them.
Okay.
My Uncle Carl he went a certain route in life, right?
Okay.
And then there were things that how he had lived, I would learn what to do and not to do. But I still looked up to him.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I looked up to my Uncle Billy, because I just thought he was the coolest thing since ice. Like how he walked, how he carried himself. It was. I liked it. There were certain things I learned from him as far as what to do, not to do. My Uncle Durrell, he was heavily into his martial arts, and when I was younger, he used to bring me with him, and I enjoyed martial arts, but not as much as he enjoyed it.
Got it.
because I didn't like getting hit in the face and things like that. It was during a test. I got my lip busted, and I was just like, ah. But he took his time out to spend with me. And my Uncle Dwayne, he's just, I was, I do believe he may be 12 years older than me or something like that. But
Okay.
he was,
Yeah.
he's a character in his own right. Like all my uncles are characters in their own right, and they've actually chosen their path in life and
Absolutely.
tried to make the best of it. But my Uncle Dwayne, we spent a lot of time.
How
He
was
taught me
your-
things about
I'm sorry.
wrestling.
Talk about wrestling.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah, he wrestled with me a lot, like every day. He would just torment me because that was his job.
Okay, so between the wrestling and the martial arts, which one did you prefer, or did you?
It was all different because like it was different aspects of it. I loved being around my uncles because I could learn from them, and I would sit and watch them and observe them, and it was,
And they were able, again, I think one of the key things I heard you say, spending time with them individually
Right.
or collectively. Talk to me a minute about your grandfather and his influence.
my grandfather. To me, I would always consider him like my father.
Okay.
He was. I didn't see him smile much. He never smiled much. But my grandfather spent a lot of time with me. He always took me to church. I would always go over his house. At the particular time I was coming up, he was not residing at 940 Burton,
Okay.
but you wouldn't know that he was not there because he was always there.
Got it.
He was always there. His presence was always there. His rules still applied. He was there every day. He took my grandmother to work every day.
Even if he was in Timbuktu. he
Right,
was
yeah,
there.
yeah. He was there every day.
Okay.
I saw my grandfather every day. Because after school I would go over there because my school was Burton School was right around the corner.
Okay.
And I saw my grandfather every day, and he was very instrumental in my upbringing. My grandfather was the type of person where he had wisdom and forethought to see things down the future.
Oh, interesting.
So, for example, if Kroger's or Thriftway or IGA at the time had a sale on something, he would cut out the coupons and we would walk in that store maybe 30 to 50 times,
Wow.
getting the deals, stocking up. Yes,
For
I see.
whatever.
Right.
And it was a significant number of you all in the house with brothers, sisters, cousins, all gathering around the grandparents.
Well, during the holidays, when I was born, I was the second grandchild.
Oh, okay.
I probably spent more time with my grandparents than everybody else over at 940 Burton. So for me, but for holidays and things like that, everyone was always required to be there. And that's really something that I miss, like on July 4th and things like
Wow.
that. And I wasn't allowed to eat meat growing up.
Okay. So
My grandfather would give me sneak me a hot dog. He would say, "Don't say anything," or another piece of chicken and things like that. But being with his family was very important.
Absolutely.
My grandparents were probably the most influential people in my life,
That's important.
besides my mother.
Yes.
You know,
Yes. That's
because
important.
I saw them every day. Growing up every day. Like even though I don't live at 940 Burton, my registered address has always been 940 Burton.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
No matter where I went. And
That's a solid foundation. I mean, nowadays, or presently, a lot of children don't know their grandparents, aren't being raised in I always say the village, the village where you have the elders, and then you have your parents, and then you have your contemporary cousins, and the whole village becomes so foundational for you to have representatives. Again, building the network of relationships in the family, and like you said, take something good from each one and learn lessons from others. And what do you think about this whole influencer society now, in terms of influencing the next generation?
Well, I think the influence, since I'm 52, the influencer,
Yeah.
society, to me is kind of weird because I just don't get it.
A lot of
But
people don't.
right,
A lot
I
of
don't
people
get it.
don't get it. I
Yeah,
don't get it.
I don't get it. But I do try to have a good influence on my son.
Okay, you
My
have a son.
Right.
Okay.
My nieces and nephews,
Okay.
my younger cousins. Because my grandparents had a great influence on me, a positive influence. It was certain sayings they would always have that it still rings true today.
So when you decided to go into the Marines, were you influenced by the fact that your uncle had gone into the Marines, or that your grandfather had served, that your family had a history of men serving?
No.
Okay, so what made you say, I want to go into the Marines?
Actually, at that time, I didn't know anyone was in the military.
Oh, okay.
Like not even my stepfather. I didn't even know he was in Vietnam. My purpose for going to the Marines at that particular time was because I was graduating high school, and then we were living out in Georgetown, Ohio,
Okay.
on a farm, and it was like, well, I no longer want to be here. What can I do? Okay, what should I do? So, the Army guy walked in. He was okay. The Navy guy walked in. Air Force guy. When the Marine guy had walked in, it was the way he strutted in.
Okay.
It was just, I was impressed by him.
Confidence.
It
The
was-
Marines, simplified.
Yeah, it was just the way that he strutted in. He walked in there and how he presented himself to us. And then I was like, that's what I want to do after high school.
Okay.
Yeah, but once I got down there, it was I did my 4 years. It was a successful 4 years.
Okay.
I can honestly say that on paper, it was a very successful 4 years. But it was like, I'm
So
gonna
when
do
you
my
were
4
in
years.
Desert
And
Storm, where were you? In which country?
we were in Saudi Arabia.
Oh, Saudi. Okay.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia. Yeah.
You had a comment?
His dad was also a Marine.
Okay. Did you know that?
No.
Okay. So just that man strutting in with the confidence
Yes.
of the Marines, because you said, I like how you said that. You said the Navy guy walked in, the Army guy walked in, the Marine guy strutted in.
Yeah, I was right.
And that gave you a whole different sense of, that gave you like, yeah, I want to be like him.
Yeah, right. Like people ask me about it all the time, and I really don't like to discuss it too much because, a lot of younger guys may want to ask my input
Right.
on if they should go. I express my experiences to them. I said it's really not for everybody because it's going to make you more of what you are.
Oh.
If you have self-discipline, you're going to be fine. If you don't have self-discipline, it's not really anything that they can try to teach you and show you, but if it's not in you,
Right.
you're just going to wind up hurting yourself and getting a dishonorable discharge or things like that because you don't have discipline to be where you're supposed to be at a particular time because people are counting on you
Okay.
just to do your job. So
Your
it's-
responsibilities, and that's something you always talk about.
Yes.
How important it is to be responsible.
To be responsible, to show your responsibility. It's actually, that come from a spiritual foundation, which again, my father, his grandfather, which he established. Whatever it is, you have to have a foundation, a spiritual foundation. And that was what was necessary.
what's the best part about being an uncle to your nephews? How many nephews do you have?
I have no idea. I have no idea, but to answer that question, as all of them are different in their own right, in their own way.
Absolutely.
But I would have to admit that I've watched Msontai grow. I remember when he was born.
There you go.
Okay. Actually, I saw him born.
Wow.
I was there when he was born.
Okay.
Okay. I saw him grow up. I saw how he was digested certain things. You know, he's very, very up there intelligent. Very, very, very intelligent. He is a Walden Hills graduate as well. Only thing that I can really say about him is that I'm always impressed. He teaches me things.
Wow.
He teaches me things. He
That's
helps
powerful.
me to keep my balance
That's powerful.
and keeps me reminded as far as family. When I see what he do, how he moves his feet concerning his family is so very, very impressive on how he deals with his son,
Okay.
how he takes care of all of us. He sends out words of care every single day. Every single day he sends out words of care. That is so impressive to me. Just that he does that he's mindful enough. He shows his love for his family. That's the beauty of that.
So Msontai is fulfilling, continuing your family's, your father's legacy. I mean, that's what we're talking about.
Absolutely. You know, he's so much like my daddy.
Oh, do you recognize that you are like your grandfather?
Not really. To me, my mother reminds me of my grandfather. So I guess I'm like, yeah. I can agree with that because I'm like my mother. So but there's certain things I like to do. I think in situations, what would my grandfather do? You know,
Oh, wow,
right,
that's
right.
a good point.
I think in situations where my grandfather would do what, and then what sacrifices he would make, and you know, and he's.
That is solid.
I think about him all the time, and you know, when I have thoughts in my head, you know, I say, what would my grandfather do, or how would he handle this situation? And I'm very grateful to have my grandfather and my grandmother, because to me, that's really my foundation.
Right.
Okay, that's my Adam and Eve, because I don't know anybody beyond that.
Right.
I don't know anybody beyond that.
That's a powerful statement, that they're both your foundation. They're your Adam and Eve. Oh, wow. I love that
Right.
as a writer. In wrapping this up, what would you tell? One of the things that, you know, we hear, we see in society is the devolvement or the uninvolvement of Black family. And you are sitting here, both of you are sitting here saying no to that. Saying, no, that's not our experience. No, that's not what we see. No, that's not how we move. But what we also need to do is to encourage, first of all, like I said, sometimes the media stereotypes things, stereotypes situations. That's so easy to do, rather than do the work, which is what we're doing here, and really talk about it and set examples of how it looks, and you know how it looks to us. And we're not a minority in this. We're not a minority. I was watching something the other day, and they were doing a commercial. That's what it was, or an advertisement. And in the advertisement, whatever they were selling, on the one side, they had this family. And they were Caucasian, and it was a man, a woman, 2 kids, and that was family. And then on the other side, they had a Black female with 2 kids sitting there looking sad, and the family was all nice and happy, and the Black female with 2 kids by herself was sitting there looking sad. And people started writing, why? Where's the black father? Where's, all we see is they're not present. And then that's what they're showing us back through advertisement. And I just think it's such a disservice for them to be pushing that and showing that and telling that to the black fathers, to the black grandfathers, to the black uncles, to the black nephews, that, that you all aren't present. And so what do we do about that? What do you think we should do about that with our kids as well as in the media?
We have to continue to reach out to our family members, the men, women,
Yeah.
my nieces, nephews, my younger cousins. We have to, because they're always looking for guidance. And a lot of times you give them guidance, they may not want to take it at that particular time. They're like, but they do appreciate it. And just because you say something today, okay, they're going to remember it 20, 30, 40, 50 years down the line that you took the time, or you spent the time to impart them with wisdom.
Yes.
And they're really going to appreciate that. So you have to continue to pray for them, because one thing, my grandmother and my grandfather were praying individuals. Mm. You have to just continue to give them positive energy and check on them. You got to stay in their pockets. Mm. You have to find out what's going on with them. You got to be nosy. Right now, okay, check their social media to see what they're doing. Mm-hmm. Because now they have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Check their stuff to see what they're doing. Right. Because they're going to portray a different aspect of themselves for their peers. Right. So you got to say, hey, good point. I saw this. What's going on with this? I'm checking on their grades. And check and see how they're doing socially, because it's just too easy to get in trouble these days. Now you get in trouble, it may affect you forever. Right. And when I was coming up, you get caught doing something, okay, it's not a big deal. But now, any little thing could happen.
Any little thing, and this whole going viral, mm-hmm. and the things that they're doing, when they put it out there, I think what they don't understand is as soon as you put something on Facebook owns it. Right. You no longer own your image. Right. You no longer own what you put. You can't call Facebook and say, take this down, because it's there forever. It's up in the mm-hmm. cloud. Right. As you said,
It's there forever.
It's there forever. And the right person, if they go looking for it, if you're looking for a job or looking to get accepted in a college or looking for almost anything, credit or anything, they type in your name, all of you come up. All of you, forever, as you said. And that's something we need to talk to our children about, because they think, I did it in an instant and it's gone in an instant. Right, yes. And it's not. So.
One thing that I would like to say is that family is not necessarily always blood.
That's correct.
Family is also built. Mm-hmm. Okay. One thing that there is an interview that has been done with Don Hudson, who happened to be the police officer. We also share nephews. Okay. We share nephews. So the thing is that how families are built in certain kind of ways. Okay, when we talk about the new generation, we get to talk about how the connection of these families are. Brother Nate Tubbs, my grandson, and his granddaughter, I believe, graduated together. Okay, yes. So when I look at, the relationships, because the relationship between, Herman Graves, Don happens to be also a cousin to Bo Gaither.
Oh, wow.
So, all this up there ties off into mm-hmm. family.
Family. Yes.
Ties off into family, the family establishment, the family that grows and continues to grow.
Yes.
And kids, young folks have reason to up there call this person Unc.
Yeah.
They have reason because there's foundations, there's things, there's streams that connects,
Yes.
that connects us.
Yes.
That's why it's so very, very important. You know, I consider the guys down here also part of my family. I care about them because I'm supposed to care about them. When I look at my nephew, he cares so much about everybody. Everybody. And he does. I think that it's a common thing in our family that the men don't do a lot of smiling and laughing. I think that's pretty common in the family.
Okay.
So, but I think that there's a reason for that.
And that is because your father did. As
I
he
think that the
suggested,
sternness,
that
the sternness
disciplinarian.
that established the foundation, that there's a discipline here,
Right.
and it's not being wavered by fun and games and jokes. That's what's very, very, very important, to be able to grow in a discipline, regardless of, as my nephew said, as to which direction our nieces, nephews, and cousins, whatever, go. We do the right thing. You tell them the right thing. What they choose to do with that is their choice. But you tell them the right thing. And I didn't say ask them. I said tell them.
Yes, sir.
Because it's necessary to direct. You're not asking them to do anything because that gives them their choice to say no and not. Mm-hmm. You don't have a choice. This is what you do.
Yes.
What you choose to do, that's going to be your responsibility. So when I look at when he went into the Marine Corps, I always wondered why. I always up there wondered, right after high school. But I also understood why. Yes, I know his father died young, at a young age and so forth, but he was also a Marine. He chose to go into the Marine Corps.
Wow.
And so forth, right after high school as well.
So there was a legacy. There was a legacy.
Exactly.
Even if he didn't know it.
He didn't know it,
was still
yes.
acting out of legacy.
Exactly.
Wow, that's powerful.
Exactly.
That's powerful. It's very powerful.
Okay. So, you know, when I tie those things in, I see the foundation, the power family.
Yeah, very powerful. I want to thank both of you. I think this, again, in weaving this cloth, as I call it, making this patchwork quilt out of all the interviews and all the various people we've interviewed, and the commonalities just keep coming through. So I see the thread, but the differences is what makes the quilt. Each panel and each story. And I want to thank you both for joining me on this. And I so appreciate everything you shared. And we'll go on to what's next.
Appreciate you also.
Thank you.
Thank you.